Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. This video is a part of Comprehending the Calamity Part 2. Sorry, I had a total brain, little forgetfulness there. I'm wearing my school Stevenson shirt today. I was inspired by Chloe, so shout out to Chloe. And I'm ready to talk to you guys a little bit about what you have already done and what you're going to do. So you probably have already seen these learning targets for this lesson, because this video is kind of in the middle of the Nearpod, but we're doing GIST, which we've done all year long. Unfamiliar words, it will be inscribed on my tombstone. Look up this word, so make sure you're not only looking at the words that I think you might not know, but also looking up other words to make sure you're understanding it, especially when we're dealing with tone, we're going to be dealing with point of view. It's important that you know all the words. And then we're looking at Emma Brooks' point of view of this earthquake. Remember, she was a real person, lived through a real event, and her point of view is first person. So this is a primary source that we're looking at of history. Okay, you also have this to look at. If you're not sure how this is working, the directions pop down here. You can move the directions, and then we're matching words. So tortuous means full of twists and turns. If you get it right, then it matches it for you. Substantial, if I click matron, it turns red. No, that's not correct. So I find my matches. Maybe you had to look up a few words to figure that out. Maybe you just do it until you get it right, but make sure you're learning it. And then you are coming through here to get the gist. This piece of text here is a PDF of the Comprehending the Calamity, and I have it here. So I wanted to look at that with you. So you should have probably said, nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh, this is what I wanted. Nope, this is what I wanted. Sorry, technical difficulties. This is take 3, by the way, third time through between people walking behind me, audio not working. So I was funny 2 takes ago. Now I'm just like, oh, what's happening? So let's look at this together. So again, I hope that you put for the gist. I didn't ask you to write it down. I just wanted you to think about it, because we shouldn't move on with things until we basically understand the gist of what's happening. And this is the same woman from the last excerpt that we read, but in this case, she has come out of her home and is describing what she sees on her way to the hospital. So I wanted to point out a few things. I underlined the words that were in the vocabulary activity. And here in this first paragraph, we have a metaphor. It says the street was black with people. And that doesn't mean literally there were black people there or that the street had turned black. It just meant that there were so many people there. They were blotting out the road. She couldn't see it. And then she goes on to say, oh, but actually they were all white. And it doesn't mean they were all white people either. It means that they were mostly in their underclothes or their pajamas, something like that. So people just ran out of their houses really fast, just like you would if you had some emergency inside your home. So she had to dress herself before she left her home. And I want you to think for a minute. I want you to look back at this paragraph with me. Did she go outside wearing something because it looked pretty or because it was practical? Pretty or practical? Take a look. She goes down here and says, did I choose the latter because it was pretty? Latter meaning the last thing that she said. And she says no. She answers her own question. It was because it was warm and long. So she chose her clothes for practicality. Now, this is a high society woman. How she looked, looking nice every day would have been really important to her. But she's admitting here, and this is a big, point of view for her being very different. She no longer cares about how she looks when she goes out. She's definitely caring more about being warm. She also says, wanted to point out that she grabs her diamonds. So boys and girls, make sure you grab all your diamonds in an emergency. I don't have any diamonds. All right, so down here is where she starts really describing what she's seeing. She says the electric poles look drunken, like they're just leaning over probably and broken and not their normal selves. So lots of imagery here, very directly describing things to you. That's why vocabulary is important here, because she's just basically telling you what she's seeing. She's not really beating around the bush at all. And she goes on to describe what it's like at the hospital. So I want you to think for a minute, if you had an emergency. I mean, we have our hurricanes, and one of the reasons that we evacuate is because if there was an emergency, a medical emergency, and we needed help, which I bet there were a lot of people who got injured, we wouldn't be able to get to a hospital if something happened during a hurricane. So that's a lot of times why we even evacuate. So she gets to the hospital and realizes that, it's not even really going to be able to help anybody. So that's an important thing there. So back to the slide that we were on. I think we were on this one. So down here, you were asked, you can write down the gist if you want, you didn't have to. And then, of course, you got a chance. This is me. Watch me, watch me. So now, after this activity, you're going to go on by yourself, and I wanted to explain it to you. Back on Google Classroom, you'll see an assignment with a graphic organizer to examine Burke's point of view, and we'll be using it later for a writing assignment. So make sure that you are doing a good job. And that looks like this. So on this side, you're going to put her point of view, and on this side, you're going to put the details. Now, here's a little question for you. When we're analyzing a piece of text, do we look at the details first? Of course we do. So you might even list your words and phrases over here, okay? Make sure if you include a whole sentence, make sure that's a really important sentence, because I want you to hone right in on what you think are the words and phrases that would make someone assume the point of view that you're going to write over here. So for example, if I write down the word torturous here, we know from our vocabulary that that means twisting and turning. So her point of view there is that it's difficult to maneuver, difficult to move around. So that's what we're doing here. These boxes will expand if you type more in them. And then of course you submit that when you're done. Jump back over to the, whoops, I keep opening the wrong one. Hey, let's just close that. Then we won't keep opening the wrong one. Then you're going to go on. This is like we're traveling into the future. This is what you're going to do in a moment. You're going to read chapter 9 in Dragon Wings, but not all of the chapter. I'm going to edit that before I see it. When you go to see it, it'll say the page numbers. It's page 189 through 206. Chapter 9 is super long. I don't want you to read the whole thing. And then you're going to answer this question that's down here. Okay. Now, what is this? This is this. This school, Central School in New York, has this here where you can listen to all the chapters. And I've been listening to them from here, and I like that. And then it kind of shows you how much further we have to go. So remember, though, it's not the whole chapter 9, but you can click there and then stop. I still kind of glance to my book occasionally. So if you're listening, you won't know what chapter you're on. So make sure you do that. Once you do that, you are going to answer that question here. And lastly, you will see in the future, I can see your future, that on Wednesday, you're going to have another assignment. So it's Monday. It's later in the day than I wanted it to be when I sent this out, but hey, things happen. So this is due by midnight Tuesday, and then you can go to this one on Wednesday. But guess what? If you don't get it done by midnight on Tuesday, do it Wednesday morning and go on to this one. Just make sure you're doing things in order, okay? No stress. I'm taking late work. You just got to let me know, hey, I went back and finished this, because I'm trying to grade and keep up and move forward. You guys know how much I love grading. So I'm doing more of it than I normally do. Normally I would look around the room and see that everybody did it and I would know, but I can't do it that way. I have to keep up with your grades. Okay. So on Wednesday, there'll be another short assignment. A couple of housekeeping notes that I'm going to add to the end of this. Number one, interim closes Thursday. So I asked you to go into Google Classroom and check out your grades and communicate with me. So please make sure you do that in Google Chat. The other reason I'm asking you to do that in Google Chat is because I'm trying to think of some creative ways to use Google Chat for us to interact during some lessons. See this down here? I can do live lessons during Nearpod. And I thought maybe some people would like to jump on at 10 o'clock in the morning and do a live lesson with us. And if we did that, maybe we could chat in a group while we're doing the lesson, just something to break up the monotony of this. I'm sure you guys have heard the news that we won't be going back into our classroom to learn together this year. We're going to be doing this virtually. So I'm trying to make it not monotonous. I know some of you want monotony. You want the same thing every day. And there are some things that are the same every day. And there might be weeks where I don't have as much as other weeks. But in the meantime, I want to do the best that I can and do lessons with you guys that I think are meaningful and helpful. And again, I'm being really flexible. So if you're just over it and you need a day off, take a day off. but you know, that's what it is. So make sure you've Google chatted me, and that if you have any zeros and you need help or you just can't do it, you just message me. That Google chat is a great place. It comes right to me and then the message goes right back to you. Okay. So I think that was all. I hope you all are well. I don't have much to report other than the fact that I miss you guys. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.